Hello, my name is Juliet Stokes, and I'll be presenting the skills and settings at my current internship placement, Shared Assets. So where am I? Like I just said, I'm currently interning at Shared Assets, an organization that describes themselves as a think and do tank focused on sustainable and equitable land development. What that means is that basically they'll take vacant, derelict, or undermanaged land and they'll turn it into something that is valuable for the community and the environment, such as local sources of sustainable energy or local agriculture so that communities can feed themselves. Shared Assets has three main branches in which they operate: research, consultancy, and advocacy. So, what's it like there? As for people, there are 6 full-time staff, so it's definitely a rather small organization. Yet, between those staff, there's an extremely diverse set of skills. Everyone comes from a different background, a different education, a different prior experience, and everyone has a completely different perspective that they share towards their common goal of sustainable and equitable land, which makes it super interesting because they really are so diverse, even though they are rather small. As for the setting, the organization is based in London and everyone is currently all remote. Yet I'm not the only international person. There is one of my colleagues who lives in Brazil, and that honestly made it so much easier for me because I feel like they're already so prepared to deal with international and somewhat asynchronous activities. And my colleague is actually in the same time zone as me. So it really worked out because they're used to dealing with that time zone specifically as well. So that is super helpful for me personally. The community is very tight knit there. Like I said, it's only 6 people. So they really are close and they get along well and they're really friends and colleagues at the same time. And this facilitates and creates a very honest and open work environment. At our weekly meetings, they talk about their priorities, what they got done that week, as well as what they might not have gotten done, and what they might need advice on or what they're struggling with. And that really helps me because it seems a lot less intimidating and a lot more understanding. But it's also really useful for productivity because it facilitates higher quality work from less stressed workers instead of people being stressed about deadlines and feeling like they have absolutely no leniency with their coworkers. So, like I said, there are 3 main departments at Shared Assets, and I'm currently working in the research department. Right now, the research department consists of just me and my supervisor, Kim, but she is super interesting to work with, and that is where my big research project is currently taking place. So skills, like I said, I'm in the research department. My number one biggest skill that I'm honing is research. I'd say that the biggest difference between the research I'm doing now and the research I've done before is that before I've researched topics that other people have researched, whether it was a thesis about a book or a historical event, someone has probably had it before me, and there's probably research that specifically contributes to that thesis or at least to that topic. And right now, the research I'm doing is on the possibility of implementing peri-urban agriculture in Glasgow. So that's something that there's not really any research explicitly within that topic. I might be the first person researching it. So it really makes me more creative with the questions that I'm searching and how I'm piecing together information that I find and really seeing the forest for the trees and understanding that little bits of information could actually help what I'm talking about, even if they seem somewhat abstract or irrelevant. The second thing that I'm honing is professional writing. This research that I'm doing is going to be translated into a brief that will be presented at the Glasgow City Council meeting. So that is just a completely new level of professional writing that I've never done before, something that will be presented to a government council, yet also has to be super understandable for people at the meeting who may not have their specialty or their background in agriculture, or may not even necessarily know what I'm talking about. So the third skill is public speaking. I think of myself as a good public speaker, but it's definitely such a different type of public speaking to just consistently contribute to meetings in a professional setting, because I can give a good presentation, I can get up and talk about my ideas for 10 minutes. Being able to subtly and professionally interject my own ideas and my opinions in a public space like a meeting is something that's super, super useful that I'm learning how to do. Fourth, I have my organizational skills. Aside from this big research project, I'm helping them organize their customer relations management database. I'm helping them organize their event database, their website, their newsletter. And that's just things I never would have done without this internship. And finally, cooperation. Obviously, I've worked in a team before, but in school, it's more someone gives you an assignment and you work together to complete that assignment. But here in the work setting, it's more you work together to create and complete the assignment. You have to cooperate on the prompt, not just the answer. So internship versus in-class experience, how is it similar? How is it different? I think my number one similarity is that participation matters. In class, it might be 10 or 20% of your grade, so it obviously matters. And in my internship, it definitely is 20%, if not 30, because they really don't want me to just go and do my work and get it done and pass it in. They want me to be communicating with people and asking questions and answering questions and interjecting my own ideas and thoughts and possibilities. And they really want me to be participating in the group and be an active worker, not just a passive worker who puts in their work and gets it done. So my second similarity is a little bit more abstract, but I think the sort of lecture time versus independent work model that we see in the in-class experience is somewhat mirrored because my internship is partly asynchronous. So for me, the lecture time would sort of be my meetings because I tend to take those in the morning. And by the time that I'm done with all of my meetings, most of my coworkers have signed out for the day. That's their last meeting, they're done, it's 5 o'clock their time. And for me, that's when I start applying all the stuff I've learned in those meetings and all the ideas we've bounced off each other into my own independent work. So that's where I sort of see that similarity. As for differences, there are definitely a lot. I think the number one difference is just professionalism. Like I said, maintaining a professional yet casual tone nearly constantly is something that I've not really had to do in an in-class experience, mostly because you're just not communicating with your professors nearly as much as you communicate with your colleagues, and you don't communicate with fellow students nearly the same way that you communicate with your colleagues. The second difference is significance. Obviously, my schoolwork is of great significance to me, but I've never been on a project that was someone's life work before, and that's just a completely new level of importance and significance that I'm adapting to. My third difference is teamwork. Obviously, like I said, I've worked in teams before and in-class experiences, but it's just so completely different when you have that different level of cooperation, that different level of professionalism, the different level of significance, all these things I've said before, it really is a different type of teamwork. So that's something that's different for me. And also innovation and going one step beyond. Like I said, they don't want me to just do my work and pass it in. They want me to be adding things that I think are necessary, changing things that I think don't work, telling them if I think the potential of this project is beyond what they asked me to do. And that's something that you don't do for your school assignments. You just complete the assignment. You don't tell your professor, oh, I think that we need to do more here. And so that's something that's definitely different about my internship placement. So what is the overall development for my education and my career from this internship? I think number one thing is just experience. It is completely invaluable to have simply been there and done all these things in my internship. And I think the second thing is tangible results. I will forever have the newsletter that I wrote for them. I will forever have their website that I've contributed to. I'll forever have this brief that's going to be presented at a city council meeting. And that is something that is so much more tangible than saying, oh, I got an A in this class. That's something I can present to future employers that I can stand by and be confident in and know that I have and that I've completed. Third is more confidence in my ideas. Like I've said over and over again, they really want me to participate and interject, and that has given me so much more confidence in the way that I can innovate and add to a workplace. And fourth, a more diverse set of skills. I never would have done these sort of customer relations management database things if I wasn't at this internship, because that's not something that you do in school, but it's super encouraging for me. And it's a confidence boost for me that I can say, oh, I can research, I can write, I can do all this, but I can also work on this more technical and logistical side, and I can be more versatile. And lastly, connections. Like I said, everyone is from a completely different background, completely different career path. And it's so interesting to just have that network of people and know that I can draw from so many different realms of experience. And yeah, that is my development and education from this internship. And I'm extremely happy to have shared it with you. Thank you.